Hi, everyone. My name is Linda. I'm head of ecosystem at Oasis, and we're very honored to be here today supporting DeFi Summit, as well as supporting the DeFi and overall crypto community. And today we want to talk about, want to give everyone kind of brief introduction of what Oasis is, and I want to dive deep into what just happened and what's next for DeFi and what's next for Web3 in general. So let's get started. So I will kind of talk about that already. So for people who are not necessarily very familiar with what Oasis is, I want to briefly talk about what Oasis Network is. So Oasis Network, we have this layer architecture. We are actually the first that came out with this modular architecture design where we separate computation from consensus. So on the consensus layer, we have a proof of stake mechanism. And on the compute layer, we call it a ParaTime layer, parallel runtimes. So we currently have 3 paratimes on the network. We have the Emerald paratime, which is the EVM compatible paratime. We have the Cypher paratime, which is the WebAssembly based paratime. It also has confidential compute enabled. And recently we launched the Sapphire paratime, which is the confidential EVM compatible paratime, which also has privacy preserving technology, confidential compute enabled there. So it's quite exciting. And each runtime, the reason we come out with a modular architecture design is we foresee as we continue to move Web3 forward, there are going to be many different types of compute. And what is commonly known in the industry, such as EVM compatible, that's just one type of compute. And in the current like Web 2.0 world, we have so many computes. I think about the giants, the Facebook, Google, how much different computation they run on a day-to-day basis. Imagine that moves to Web3 in the future. So that's why Oasis Network is very much about being able to cater to different types of compute, a wide range of compute that can service Web3 in the future. So we have computational compute, and we also have infrastructure to support for application that doesn't necessarily require confidentiality. That could be the crypto gaming, DeFi, NFT as it is. That doesn't necessarily require privacy preserving technology. So let's talk about the Emerald, which is the EVM compatible paratime, which is fairly common in the industry right now. So you have many layer ones have this EVM compatibility. So our EVM Emerald is full EVM compatible. It's very easy, could be easily integrated with other applications run other EVM chains. It's scalable, low cost is the fees, the gas fees on Emerald is 90% higher, lower than than Ethereum, and it's fully decentralized. It's currently run by more than 60 Oasis node operators, compute nodes on the network. And we have DeFi, pretty much like DEX, lending, yield aggregator, Oracle cross-chain bridges, all covered on the chain. So it should be easy for DeFi developers if they want to either build straight up DeFi applications on Emerald, or they want to migrate their applications from other chains. And we also have gaming. We launched 2 gaming protocols recently. Our community developers launched 2 gaming protocols recently on Oasis last month. And we have more than 30 gaming projects across the genres, like MMORPG, card games, strategy games in the pipeline to be launched in Q3 and early Q4-ish. And then we also had a pretty robust NFT ecosystem that covers a wide spectrum of genres, like 2D, 3D arts, pixel arts, and some of the GameFi related NFT collections. And then we recently just launched actually our very first confidential NFT collection on the network, and I'll explain what we mean by confidential NFT. So this is just like what we we saw on the left is just some items of that confidential NFT collection. So where that you will see this, the name of the collection is called Army of Minions. So all these items are kind of like, very interesting facial expression of the minions. But what is interesting about this collection is that the whole collection is generated via mathematical equations, and each item is generated by a different, very, very unique mathematical equation. And only the NFT owner can see the underlying mathematical equation. So, and by being an owner of the NFT, of this specific NFT, you have access to the mathematical equation, and using that, you'll be able to regenerate the art yourself. So this is kind of pretty interesting. And the collection on the right is what we launched last, I think, early June, the Oasis NFT Art Week. So it was pretty exciting as well, and we started to feature some of the really like fine arts and then bring those to blockchain. Yeah, so let's talk about what's next. I think DeFi, as well, the whole crypto industry went through a lot over the past month. Over the past few months. So we first have the UST Luna scenario, and then we also had quite a few like industry related kind of black swan events, affected like some of the crypto lending firms and some of the crypto hedge funds or crypto funds at large. Yeah, so definitely some of the stakeholders, maybe even prominent stakeholders, were pretty affected by those recent events, as well as market volatility. So it's definitely time for industry to kind of like take stock on what happened and think through what's going to happen next. So we want to kind of just like, we're definitely not like someone really like holding some sort of crystal ball can really tell what's the direction in the future. But we do want to share our thoughts on what we think could be the direction or directions that could bring the industry to the next level. So what's next? We're thinking about like, for DeFi to move to the next stage, it needs to kind of like bring DeFi to, or integrate real world use cases to DeFi. So we think about this kind of like the general, have DeFi kind of like integrated in the general like Web3, right, and then like have decentralized society as well. So we currently have like Emerald paradigm, Cypher, and Sapphire paradigms. Both Cypher and Sapphire have the confidentiality enabled, and we believe privacy is playing a critical role foundation for Web3 in the future. So what we mean by like decentralized society and then like the future of Web3, I think, we think, again, this list is not necessarily exhaustive. We kind of like enumerate some of the pillars that we think that could be very useful. We first need DID. I'll explain later like why DID is critical for DeFi in the future. Specifically meant like reputation-based, credit score-based DeFi. And then, the private DeFi, the private under-collateralized lending that could potentially have DeFi target mainstream users that have real like finance issues, problems, like the unbanked population. How can we bring DeFi to them that haven't been well served in the traditional CeFi by traditional CeFi vendors? And also for DeFi, next stage is we need new assets. Besides token assets, how can we bring more assets to DeFi? Like, could there be like some assets like NFT, like confidential NFT, data-backed NFT, data asset, data tokenization, and then also as a part of the what we believe as a pillar for decentralized society, like there needs to be data DAOs, like DAOs that governed in a way that where data providers really own their data, and they get to dictate how their data can be used, be computed and be shared with other parties to ensure they are invited, they are part of the value chain, and service better internet and a better, like more responsible data economy, because that was not necessarily being serviced in the current Web2 space. So let's, but we're not going to go into everything on the list. But for the purpose of this this talk, we want to specifically focus on DeFi. So what's wrong with first generation of DeFi? Like, we think it was primarily built for crypto enthusiasts, crypto traders. And back then it was overly indexed on yield farming versus the true utility of DeFi. And we think for DeFi to go to the next stage, we absolutely need to bring real world use cases to DeFi. So there needs to be, and to have the integrated with real world use cases, you will need privacy, you will need a confidentiality. And what we meant by that is information needs to be protected. And so it's not just for like a retail crypto enthusiasts and traders. We can have institutional investors involved as well, so they can provide more liquidity into the DeFi market. And also with the DID, decentralized identity, to enable reputation and credit score based DeFi, so we can have mainstream population involved as well. So we can essentially solve some of the really tough issues that haven't been solved in the Web2 world. Like, we talk about the unbanked and people with mortgage, student loan issues. Like, how can they, their issues cannot be solved by the DeFi 1.0 because most of the lendings are over collateralized. Like, you need to collateralize, if you can, or if you can participate in DeFi, probably means that you don't really, with over collateralization, if you have already enough money to be put as collateral, it probably doesn't necessarily, you probably not even be part of that, segment that are facing those issues with like student loan and mortgage. We're talking about people that don't really have that enough money that could be put under collateral. So yeah, and also besides that issue faced by mainstream population, we also talk about like for a trader, even for traders, like the current DeFi 1.0 is not perfect. Like, we have the back running, front running, because everything is wide open on the ledger. So how can we bring in confidentiality so we can have those protection, like the MEV issues could be resolved by the privacy preserving technology, confidential smart contract module and such. So so there's definitely a lot of hope for DeFi, to have it really service. Right now it's like primarily servicing traders. So how can we bring to mainstream by integrating with real world use cases? And the second is even just to serve crypto traders, can we bring more institutional investors involved? And then can we solve some of the pain points that traders are facing, such as the front running, back running issues? So Oasis is the best position to unlock the full value of DeFi and by integrating real world use cases into DeFi by providing the good infrastructure for the community developers to build applications that solve those issues. We're highly scalable, and I think it's primarily that confidential compute support allow us to differentiate from other networks out there. Because the confidential support, we can support DID, we can support the reputation credit score based DeFi, because not everyone want their, even if people want their credit score to be out there in the open or something, but people certainly don't want to be able to calculate credit score. You will need raw data, and you need some compute and some processing, and most people, I cannot really speak for everyone, but we are under the assumption that most people do not want that raw data. What kind of data, like social credit, like social security number, your address, your credit card transaction, all these raw data goes into the compute that derives the credit score. Most people do not want those to be out there in the open on the public ledger, because people want privacy, especially when it comes to their personal life. So as Oasis is positioned, because the computational compute technology we have is best suited to solve, to provide that infrastructure for community developer, for those applications out there to to provide this reputation and credit score based DeFi. So that could be something very much very much looking forward to in the future. Yes, and then talking about, so besides private DeFi, like reputation credit score based DeFi, we also want to talk about other types of assets for DeFi to be more interesting in the future. So currently assets are primarily token assets, such as the tokens and then tokens you bridged from other chains. Could there be other type of asset that is so different from what we currently have, such as data assets, like data NFT? We talk about what data NFT. Data NFT is essentially data-backed tokens that represents like your personal data. Could be docs, images, could be something you own, it could be videos, could be anything. Then something you own that you think could be valuable for other people, other institutions to use. But then in that NFT, what is underneath, besides encrypted data, is also your data policy, how you want your data to be shared and computed, and by whom. And this could be very interesting. Think about as a data owner, like I might have some healthcare, personal medical data that I think could be like could be part of some cohort, like because who I am, like where I'm coming from, and then I think that could be very useful for some like drug discovery, for certain type of drugs, and then so in that data policy, I can specify that I only want my data, which part of my personal medical data to be shared with which type of entity, like such as pharmaceutical company is okay, NGO is okay, but other like advertising or some sort of for-profit corporate might not necessarily be, like media company might not necessarily be okay. So that could make the industry very interesting, is that as a data owner, you finally get a say in terms of how your property. We see data as a person's property, as something you own, and how you can truly own your data. And then that, if you think about like when we have the owners and that be part of the value chain, because currently in the Web 2.0 world, like data owners are not necessarily involved at all. We're not part of the value chain. The value chain is primarily the data aggregators, share with data consumers, and those could be like ads buyers, platforms, but we are the ones who actually own the data, and we deserve to have a say. We deserve to be part of at least be part of the value chain. So that could be interesting if we truly believe. We keep saying like data is valuable, data is oil, but how can we really allow the data owner to be part of that monetization model? So what Oasis does is, we have provide infrastructure to enable like data tokenization to enable these type of assets. And once this type of assets is what we foresee, what we envision in the future, is that these type of assets should be tradable and for good use, such as, I have personal medical data, and the data consumer could be the medical research institute, could be university, could be some university medical schools, and they want to do some research, and then their transaction, and that data NFT is being used to facilitate that transactions. So so that is really something that we think that is something we can look forward to in Web3, and beyond that, we're hoping like more teams and companies could embrace this idea of data DAO, which is basically is built on data NFT. It's basically to provide governance and incentive model that is fair to all participants, especially for the owners, and essentially to prevent the misuse, abuse of data, and make sure that data is being shared and computed and transacted in a fair way. So yes, basically to summarize, Oasis is really best to provide the critical pillar to support Web3, as we believe privacy is really what's needed to bring DeFi and Web3 application to the next stage. And we recently concluded a hackathon where we have like close to around 1,000 high quality submissions. And I will not go into detail about the winners of the hackathon. The reason I want to show this slide is we will hold more hackathons in the future to encourage more DeFi. I guess there's already DeFi 2.0, but like more DeFi, even 3.0, next wave DeFi, next wave Web3 that embrace ideas what we just talked about, or it could be some other brand new ideas that really embrace the ethos of Web3, which is to enable everyone to not only be able to read and write on the internet, but also be able to own on the internet, and to build a better internet, better data economy. And then we also have the Oasis ecosystem fund to support all these Web3 builders. So it's really a golden time to build. Now market is a bit quiet than usual, but we think it's the best time to really be heads down, be really focus on your passion, focus on what you believe in, focus on the ethos of Web3, the ethos of blockchain, about decentralization, about fairness, about being open, and really build amazing application that bring the industry to the next level. Cool. I think that's all for the talk.
Awesome. Thanks again, Linda, for kind of going as an overview and catch up with Oasis as well. It's been great hearing that, especially for me, just like hearing about like confidential NFTs as well. It's been a brand new concept, and then the use cases from that can really stem and get into DeFi or just real world applications and other use cases as well too. So thank you again to Oasis and Oasis Protocol. Look forward to you guys' continue updates, and also want to just again chime in what you said. It's a great time to just be heads down and build. It's more quieter, but that's when the best things happens, is when you're not distracted, and we're getting away from always this party phase of thinking everything is always a bull run, and back to basics and back to building. So and that's where like big projects that are building like the foundation layer for DeFi, whether it be through scalability, privacy, etc., is needed too. Any last little thoughts, Linda, before to wrap things up?
Not really much but I just like want to say like we're very grateful, very appreciated to be invited to give a talk here, and we understand market has market, everyone is taking stock right now, and I think we can take this as an opportunity to really give it a lot of interesting ideas, really kind of take a very thoughtful approach as to how we think about like what's next for Web3 and what kind of applications that we are truly passionate about. Because in the past, in the bull market, a lot of participants are primarily driven by yields and primarily driven by return and everything. So that's not really what blockchain is all about, right? Like the blockchain is not just about enabling people to make money in the industry is a good thing, but from technology perspective, there's so many beautiful things about blockchain, like we talk about being decentralized, being open, being fair, being transparent, and all of that really needs to be. So DeFi, NFT, gaming manifests some of the ethos well, but I think we need more killer applications to continue the journey to manifest really those ethos and bring the industry to the next stage. And we really welcome developers out there to apply for our grants program, apply for ecosystem fund, and build things that you believe that really can bring the industry to the next level and drive the Web3 forward.
Great. Yeah. Again, if you are a developer or dApp building on DeFi or NFTs as well too, have a look at the Oasis ecosystem fund as well, and to help support you throughout that whole process. I want to say thanks again, Linda, and we'll definitely see you guys again soon in an upcoming further update with as you guys are continuing to build during this current market conditions, and at the other end of the tunnel, we'll continue to build more scalability and the future of DeFi.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.